Hello, I'm doing a chess video. Yay. I'm just gonna show you 5 of the 7 piece checkmates, and I'm gonna do them from easiest to hardest in my opinion. So starting with rook and rook, or no, starting with queen and rook, sorry. Then rook and rook, then queen and king, then queen and king. Then just rook and king, and then finally double bishop. So starting with the queen and rook, I'm gonna continue with a level 8 machine. Okay, first step, just move the rook here so it doesn't get taken immediately. Basically, the strategy is to just keep going back and keep doing. So you're gonna have the rook here and the queen here, and then the king will be forced back. And so the first step is to restrict him to just this box here, and then if we go like here, then he'll have to be forced back into this box because the queen is guarding this entire row and the rook is guarding this entire row. And so the king's forced back, and then we just keep going. Now, if we move our rook here, then the king will just take it immediately, and then we can still win, but it would be faster if we just saved our rook. So we're just gonna move it like way over here, away from the king, and then go here and force him into this smaller box. And it just keeps getting smaller and smaller until eventually he's checkmated. So now he's just stuck to these last 16 squares. And then we don't want to move our queen here because then the king will just take it. So let's just move our queen over here. And he's going to attack our rook. And then we move our rook over here. And then move our queen here. He's restricted to just these squares. And then rook here is rook g8 is checkmate. So that's the first checkmate. The second one is rook and rook, which is very similar. It's pretty much the exact same procedure, except you have a rook and not a queen for the other piece. So rook, make sure our rook doesn't get taken. King voluntarily move back for whatever reason, and then restrict the king. And then let's move our rook here so it doesn't get taken. Sorry. And then we'll just keeps going back. Just move our rook. Okay. Don't want to move it here because we'll take it, so we move it back. Okay. Keep going. It's just the same procedure, but with rooks instead of a queen and a rook. And that's checkmate. And then, so the next one is just with a queen, which is going to be a different procedure. So what you want to do is you want to set it up so that the kings are facing each other. So the king guards all of these squares that the king could escape to. And then, we move our queen here to force the king back, because the queen guards these squares, and the king guards these squares. And so, now we want to move our king like this, so he's one away when it's black's turn, and black just voluntarily moved back. So we don't want to move here because we want to have the king in the king's in this position when it's our turn. So we want to move here, and if black goes here, then we just move the queen up. If black runs away, we keep chasing him. And then once he does that, and eventually we'll go all the way, if black ran, it would just, hold on, just go like that, king here, and then, no, black would go first, hold on. So black would go here, or we would go here, black would go here, king would go here, and then black would have to line up with our king, and we'd go back. So we go back, he goes over here, let's go here, so that he must move here, and he voluntarily goes back. And then we just chase him. Doesn't matter what he does, eventually. Oh shoot. Yeah, make sure that doesn't happen. Okay. Go here. Make sure your queen is, what the heck? No, we have to move our queen back. Yeah, I'm messing up here. Okay, so the king goes up, we move our queen up. And then we just move here. So black eventually has to face us. And then we go back. And then eventually black will face our king, and then we'll checkmate him because he won't have any squares to go back. So he has to go here and then move our queen back. That's checkmate. Okay, the next is rook checkmate, which is basically the same. I just put rook. So first we restrict the king, and then we move our rook back. He just keeps going back. Yeah, let's just start advancing our king. The only difference with the rook is that you don't want to let it be taken. And then now we're just, this is the same position where he either has to run over here where he'll eventually have to face us, or he has to face us. And then rook moves back and we go back. And if he tries to attack our rook, we'll just go to the other side with our rook. Chase the king. Chase the king. Once he faces us, we move the rook back. And like I said, eventually he'll have to face us. So we go there. Move our king. And then if he attacks the rook, we just move our rook to the other side. And then we'll just, like, I don't know, do a waiting move with our rook. If this position ever arises where we end up if we move our king, we face the king on our turn, then we just do a waiting move with our rook and move like one square. King face us, we move the rook. We move here, and he's probably going to attack our rook. So we just go over here, and then we do a waiting move. And he's just going to either go over here or go over here. Either way, he has to move here and then checkmate. Okay, and then the last and most difficult probably to learn out of these 5 is the 2 bishop checkmate. So what we want to do first is we want to take control and then eventually occupy these 4 center squares with our bishop, or 2 of these 4 center squares. The white bishop on one of these 2 squares, and then black bishop on one of these 2 squares. And so then the first step is to kick the king out of the center, and if he's somewhere else, then he's already out of the center. And the way we do that, we move the bishop. If he leaves the center, then that's fine. If he doesn't, then we just, like that, we just move our bishop here, and the bishops are controlling all of these, but mainly and most importantly these 4 center squares. And so the next step is to occupy the center squares. So, and then we don't want to let the king attack it, but that's not really going to be a problem. So we move our bishop here. If the king stays guarding this square, then we just move our bishop here. If he moves here and attacks this square, we just move our bishop here. And then this process is the same no matter what, except if we move our bishop here, then the king is going to get checkmated over here, and if we move our bishop probably over here or over here. But if we move our bishop here, then it's over here or over here. So we do this, and then we have the center. And if you look at the position, the bishops are creating a wall that restricts the king to these, I think that's 12. Yeah, 12 squares. And then, so now the next step is we want to get our king to either this square or this square. And then if we get our king to this square, we move our bishops this way. And if we move our king to this square, then we are going to move our bishops that way. So it doesn't really matter. I'll just do this square. F5. And the king just walks around. And if he's guarding the square, and when it's our turn to move here, we just make a waiting move that still controls the square, and he'll have to move away. So if the king's here on our turn where we have to move here, and he's guarding this square, we just go here, or go here. Or just go somewhere that's still guarding this square. And then the king will have to move away. So we go here. And then this is where we shift our bishops. So now the question is, which bishop do we move first? Well, if we move this bishop here, then our king is just going to go here and attack our bishop. But if we move this bishop here, then the king, even if the king was here, he wouldn't be able to attack this here because the bishop is guarding that square. So we move this bishop first, and then the king, doesn't matter what he does. And the king is guarding these escape squares for the king around here. And then then we move our bishop here. And now we have to get our king to either this square or this square. Doesn't matter which. If we move this square, we shift our bishops that way. This square, shift our bishops that way. You get the idea. We can just move it here. And then black moves there. We move our bishop here. Now, if black tries to run away, then that actually speeds up the checkmating process. So what we do is we chase the king. Okay, then we just move back. Okay, he's just doing this. Okay, well, he's being a butthead. stupid king. I hate you, stupid king. Oh my god. Okay, hold on. Ignore that. Go back. Okay, if he's over there, just go this way. And then do that. And then he's forced into these two squares. Never mind what I said. Shoot. 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 There. So he's forced into those two squares. And then we want to move our king to this square. Yeah, it's this square. Okay, so now the king can't really do anything. So we just keep moving. Until finally we get to a6. Now, the king goes there. What we want that to be empty. We want that to be empty, so so if the king is here on our turn where we go here, we want him to actually be on this square when we're here and it's our turn. And so if we move here, he'll just move there. So we just do a waiting move. So he has to end up on this square on our turn. Then we want to control the square and force him into the corner here. And a good way to do that is to move our bishop here. So now we're controlling this, but we've given up control to this part. And then we don't want to move our bishop here, because that's stalemate. That is stalemate. Because the king is not in check. And the bishop is controlling this square, and our king is controlling these two squares. So we do not, no matter what we do not move our bishop here in this position. What we do is we do a waiting move with our bishop. And then black moves there, it's the only move, and then we move to this part where the bishop attacks the king. And then the king has to move back to the corner, and then bishop to c6 is checkmate. So yeah, thank you for watching. And hope you learned how to do some of these checkmates. And yeah, bye.